We all want to get better at the things we really love doing, but typically there is more than what meets the eye when it comes to what separates the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hello, I'm Clear Vision. I've been playing Rocket League since November 2015, and in these new series will aim to discuss certain topics and areas in Rocket League that I feel tend to be overlooked, in hopes of bringing them to light, increase awareness about them, and just generally share my knowledge of the game beyond commonly discussed topics to the community. In future videos I may also talk about certain issues about the game, or anything that I feel that's worth mentioning, and in general it will be more opinionated, so I'll ask that you keep an open mind while watching these videos. Today I'm going to be talking about self-improvement and discipline in Rocket League, which I actually touched on in my backstory video, so I'm essentially just going to continue where I left off. What separates an average Rocket League player from someone above average to pro and semi-pro players alike? The first thing you might think of might be just outright skill and being better at the game, but there's more to it. If I had to think of the single most important quality you must have in order to at least be decent at this game, I would say that it's resilience, although I would also say being patient, innovative, and logical are also worthy mentions of desirable qualities in a player. Resilience means being able to get yourself up and running again after some sort of downfall. Patience in this case means being able to wait for your moment and give yourself time. Innovative means being creative and experimental, and being logical just means being able to think in a rational, reasonable way that makes sense. Let's start with resilience. This is by far the most important quality, especially if you're new and only recently just started playing. Unfortunately, I think this is a quality that most players lack. The player base as a whole has progressed immensely since the game's release. Face it, you're going to get beaten by better players and teams a lot, but this doesn't matter. Don't take it personally and let it get to you, as there's no point in doing so. Don't get angry if you lose a lot of games in quick succession, but rather treat it as a learning experience. I see so many people get angry over why they lost a game, and take absolutely no time to reflect on why the game was lost. I'm going to say this now and outright, but reflection is what makes you improve. Not only at Rocket League, but anything. Reflection is a much better alternative to just throwing yourself at the activity in the hope of improving at it. Rank really doesn't matter that much. Getting better at the game does. Ranks are just a label, and nothing more, nothing less. Inevitably, as you get better at the game, you're more likely to achieve higher ranks, but this should not be your main focus. If you'd like a chance to play with better players outside of ranked, then I invite you to come along and join my public SixMan Discord if you're on PC or PS4. Very briefly, I took ownership of the server a few months ago, which was originally only intended for Grand Champions with a very small community. However, with the help of my friends Papa6, we managed to revamp the server and open it to everyone. What are SixMans? They are serious 3v3 games for practice. Pro players usually play among themselves in private matches with voice communication and randomized teams in a best of 3, 5 or 7 format before switching the teams again. I would like this practice to become more mainstream, because in an environment where players push each other and can play with each other without having to worry about losing skill points, and therefore can just purely focus on the game, is what can help the player base really step up as a whole again, even more this time hopefully. This server is still a work in progress, and the community is still relatively small, but is much more bigger and active than it was. Currently, there's fully functional waiting rooms, and when there's 6 people join a room, you automatically get moved to a different voice channel specific to a team. Don't worry, there's not just high level champion players in here. There are diamond players and a few platinum and gold players too. And I periodically host open games outside of the waiting room restrictions, but anyone can join, and it's more laid back. Check the description for an invite link and more details. Going back to what I was saying before, if you refuse to accept that your rank doesn't tell the whole story about someone, be it yourself or otherwise, you need to reevaluate why you're playing the game. Above everything else, games are meant to be fun, and if you're not having fun, just stop. If you find yourself frustrated, take a break, and during your break think about why you're constantly getting beaten, or why you're not doing as well as you'd like, or why that you feel you're stagnating, and your plan to fix it. Make sure to use your off time wisely and not waste it. When you come back to the game, make sure that you change. Change is vital into improvement and goes hand in hand with resilience. If no one changed anything about themselves or how they play, none of us would be better than on day one of Rocket League. If you do the same thing multiple times and expect different results, that is the definition of insanity. A chain is also only as strong as the weakest link. So after a break, you need to attack your biggest problem areas head on in order to improve. There's no point in working on your dribbling skills if they are excellent, and meanwhile your wall play and wall defense is poor in comparison, for example. Or working on aerial skills or mechanics if your situation awareness is severely lacking. How long should a break be? If you need to clear your head, then I would recommend any length of time between 2 days to 10 days. Any shorter than this, and I wouldn't really consider it to be a worthwhile break from the game for the purpose of coming back with a clear mind, ready to learn. Any longer than this, and you run the risk of being severely out of shape when you return, and having to work hard just to get back to your usual standard of play. Despite this, take as much time as you need to calm down and relax. Use 2 to 10 days as a guideline, and if you feel that you need to take more time off, then please do. Feel free to work at your own pace when it comes to winding down and taking time to reflect. Next, innovation. You need to be creative and be prepared and willing to see things from a different perspective in order to try and understand them better. Unless you've played the prequel, Battle Cars, Rocket League will be unlike any other game you've ever played in your life, guaranteed. Almost no other game in existence will have directly transferable skills. Maybe if you play a lot of racing games, it can help with some driving mechanics, as you're more likely to have good motor skills and attention to detail on how a car handles, but this alone won't get you that far. Another quality I forgot to mention previously, but would actually go hand in hand with innovation, is passion. If you want to do well, you need to actually care about the game, take an active interest, and learn as much as you can. Rocket League is a constant learning experience, so you can't get away from this. If you want to be a good player, simply playing matches isn't good enough. Messing around in free play isn't good enough. Occasionally doing training isn't good enough, and being content in your current state isn't good enough. I could go on forever, but unfortunately I don't have an infinite amount of time. In short, you need to go above and beyond the ordinary, both in-game and out. This is where self-improvement in the title comes in. If you can get someone to help you out, that's great. Take the opportunity, be grateful, and take full advantage of it. However, how can you expect others to help you if you're not willing to help yourself? Whether you're given tips, advice, or coaching, or if you watch a tutorial, afterwards it is your job to take heed of it and actually put it into action. The person behind the coaching or the video cannot do that for you, nor should you even expect them to. Look up stuff on the internet. Look at matches. Look at people's streams to know what is possible. Do specific training packs and structured free play practice sessions. Make your own training packs to target your weak mechanical areas. There's no excuse not to do this, as Sonic has made it extremely easy with in-game editor. Before that, you should download a program called REUPLOAD to mod your game to get a similar experience. There's additional shots available on the internet, but making your own usually was quite a long process of trial and error. Take notes on what you see and go the extra mile if you really want to step up. I even took physical notes back in my first couple of weeks of Rocket League on what I saw other players doing on streams or otherwise. While you don't have to go this far, definitely at least take mental notes and try and replicate good parts of what you see. Whenever you lose a game, do yourself a favour and save the replay even if you think you know why you lost. You might have missed a very small but crucial detail but you completely overlooked at the time. Now, let's talk about something a little bit different. In my past when I was coaching individual players, I found that the players who had more self-confidence and ability in the game, regardless of their actual skill, were already doing a few of these self-improvement things. Whereas players who didn't do any self-improvement thought that they just sucked at the game outright, with little to no hope of getting better anytime soon. Also, another observation I made of the players who did self-improvement were usually better at the game right off the bat. But there are exceptions to everything, so I take this with a grain of salt. I possibly could be onto something though, I'm not sure. But if you only take one thing away from this section, once you've been pointed in the right direction, you must start walking, as no one is going to do it for you. Or to put it directly, take matters into your own hands when it comes to you improving at the game. Being logical and patient are also valuable qualities for a player. I'll group these two together and keep it short and sweet. Linking back to a previous point I've said, because RL is unlike any other game you've played before, you need to allow yourself time to improve. It will never happen overnight, and before you mention Fairy Peak, going from Rising Star in Season 2 to a pro player in the next, that is literally a one-off. He truly did come out of nowhere, in every sense of the phrase, but it will never happen again. 99.999% of new faces that you see on RLCS or other big publicised tournaments aren't actually new. They almost always have a very long history behind them that unfortunately wasn't known by the public prior to them showing up. Anyway, if you don't allow yourself time to improve and set yourself unrealistic and unachievable goals, you will fail to meet these ludicrous aims and feel bad about yourself. Setting yourself a goal of being Grand Champion by next month, if you're not at least Champion right now, for example, is quite frankly stupid. This is a particularly dumb thing to do, and I'm being blunt in this video because sugarcoating a topic achieves nothing, and I like being transparent. Clearly laying out what it takes to be a good player is what I feel it will be most beneficial to you watching this video. Set small, reasonable goals. Be logical, and think of things in a logical way when you're trying to understand a new concept. That is how you succeed. Being impatient in game is important too. Don't unnecessarily rush your teammates. Space out. Wait for the perfect moment to strike if you have the chance. And most of all, be willing to take things one step at a time when you are learning, to avoid bombarding yourself with too much information and things to take in at once. The final quality a player needs is discipline. The best way to improve is create a training scheme and stick with it. I spent more time analysing my games and learning about the game initially, rather than actually playing it. I know I've said it before, but to become better than average you must go above and beyond. Why? Because even the average player is slowly improving at least. The average player now is almost as good as the best of the best a few weeks after launch, while the slightly above average player has easily surpassed it. If you don't believe me, go and look at Kronobi's videos from 2015 for example. Remember back in the day when Team Rocket actually used to be a competitively viable team? Or when Gibbs was in Cosmic Aftershock? Or when Bromway Woody used to play alongside Marky Dudar in Team Weemy? Or if you really wanted to, you could just check out my old videos. Anyways, people move on in time, so if you don't take the steps to learn more about the game at a faster pace than others, you will unfortunately get left behind, and you probably don't want that. Some final piece of advice from me is that you should remain level-headed and focused. With enough training, time, patience, good resilience, taking active interest, and practice, you will end up where you want to be, and this goes for anything, not just Rocket League. Keep your eyes on the prize and remember to enjoy yourself. Don't beat yourself up over things completely out of your control, as that is illogical. However, for the things that you can, be sure to take the initiative and take control of your learning. Remember to take a breather if you think that you need one, and just relax. That will conclude today's video. I hope this helps. Feel free to share any comments below, I'll read them all and respond if possible. Drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more content like this, and I'll catch you in the next one.